Hello everybody, welcome. I'm No02. Thank you for watching this video. This is in response to Turtle Rock announcing the update Tunnels of Terror DLC coming out on April 12th. The game is sort of, I think, on a little bit of a precipice here. Like this DLC, I think, is going to be a nice omen to determine whether or not Turtle Rock Studios really has what it takes to provide the connectivity and build upon the foundation that they've already established with Back 4 Blood. So this video is going to be part honest review of Back 4 Blood. Should you come back if you own the game already, and should you buy the game if you're interested? Like an honest review of the game, the sort of a current state of the game as well, and what we should be looking for in the DLC and things like that. I do want to start off with just negativity in general when it comes to people reviewing video games and things like that. I would say when it comes to negative people on the internet, they seem to be the most vocal. All of us normal, rational, emotionally stable people, we just don't speak up a lot because we don't really see the need to. When things are fine, when things are okay, there's no need to stand up and go, hey, I just want everyone to know that I think everything's going well. I just want to let everyone know that everything's okay. Everything's fine. Because everyone else goes, yeah, duh, of course, it's fine. Right? Or someone else goes, you're an idiot. It's horrible. I can't believe you'd say that. Blah, 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 blah. Emotional testimony. Insert here, irrational thinking. Let me say a statement. I respond to your statement. I give an answer to your statement. Provide evidence that proves your statement wrong. You switch subjects. Classic arguing 101. Fact of the matter is, negative people tend to be the most vocal. Though there is some validity to negativity for Back 4 Blood, which I'll get into, don't be swayed by the outgoing of just negative Reddit posts, Discord posts, and review videos. You're a human being with the power of reasoning and thinking. I hope that you have the ability to discern the difference between quantifiable and object-based information versus emotional testimony in regards to people reviewing anything. Because a lot of times, being extreme is good for your clickbait. Right? LOL, game so bad is dead, capitalized. That sells. That happens. Now, I'm not accusing anybody of anything here, because let me get into Back 4 Blood. When the game was released, this button right here, this quick play button, right? You see this button here? Horrible button. If you pushed this button on day of release, bad things would happen to you. You would have no money. No money, no ammo. No guns. When you spawned in and took control of your bot. You'd go into the next mission, you'd select your deck, select your character, none of your cards would work. Literally none of them. You'd still have the bot cards. Or maybe you'd have none of your cards, none of the bot's cards, except for Combat Knife. For whatever reason, Combat Knife would stick with you for the rest of the campaign. You try to quick play and you'd be controlling your bot, and then there'd be a second bot in the game, and somebody else will join, but instead of taking control of the other bot, that new player would automatically kick you out of the bot you're controlling, and you'd be stuck in spectator mode. Right? There was tons and tons and tons of just little things like that. This here not working, that there not working. This doesn't make sense. Do these cards stack together? There's not enough tooltips. Right? There's all these tiny little bugs here and there. The bot AI, atrocious. Atrocious. Tons and tons and tons of all these little bugs and glitches and problems here. Right? And these bugs and problems and glitches directly affected your gameplay. Literally prevented you from getting to experience the deck system. A big selling point of the game. Like, look, we're doing this whole integrated deck building card unlock system thing here where your sense of progression is you buying cards and getting stronger over time. And then you'd quick play and all this deck that you took the time to make and build just wouldn't work. Oh my goodness, it was so frustrating. If you played campaign, if you pushed the campaign button and just started your own campaign or whatever, almost none of those problems would exist. You'd be totally fine. But the players who joined your campaign through quick play, tons and tons and tons of problems. Things like that. I think we live in an era right now where game dev studios are releasing games with a release sooner, patch it later mentality. Have you ever heard of Cyberpunk? Right? Some games are released and they're just not ready. And people go, oh my god, why would they ever do that? Why would they ever do that? It's probably a money thing. I'm sure there might be some politics between developer and publisher and things like that. But what goes on behind closed doors, we can never truly know 100%. But regardless of what's going on, Turtle Rock Studios is not the first company to do that. They won't be the last, but it doesn't excuse them. Games tend to have been high on the hype, might build up the hype, low on delivery, right? Over promise, under deliver, not a good way to do business, and video games have been the culprits of that for a long time. And Turtle Rock Studios did that as well, I think. Or at least Turtle Rock Studios is a victim of such a release as well. Just because they released the game that just clearly didn't feel like it was polished enough. Now, when it comes to all the little nuanced things of like, oh, Nightmare Mode's too hard, or this too hard, this is too easy, and oh, the special spawn too fast. When it comes to difficulty, that's an entirely relative thing, relative to the player. Players range in skill from not very good to professional, and people in the middle are average. Even if we had a perfectly balanced game, a game that reached the largest possible player base, while still being challenging and rewarding at the same time, even if we had that perfectly balanced game, there would still be players on the bottom of the spectrum complaining that it's too hard, and players on the top of the spectrum saying that it's too easy. Balance is a relative thing. I think when it comes to people complaining or not about the balance of your game, what's more important is set expectations and a sense of fairness. The game needs to feel fair. If the game feels fair, it can be horribly balanced. Right? It can be horribly balanced. It's all relative and it's all perspective. If a game feels fair, players will not notice that it's actually imbalanced. And so Back for Blood had some wonky things where, like, mutations can spawn literally around the corner. In one of the updates, they increased the distance at which a mutation can spawn to you. Before, it was like a mutation can spawn 5 meters away from you. 5 meters? That's like slightly longer than a baseball bat swing. So you'd be standing in a hallway next to a doorway or something. Just around the corner, 5 meters away, a tall boy would spawn. He'd take one step out, he'd see you, he'd roar in your face, and you'd go, what the heck? He didn't make any sound, he didn't make any noise, he'd just tell you he was just here. And I think when it comes to the difficulty is not the discussion to be had. That's not the issue. Because difficulty will never be perfect. It'll never be perfect. What needs to change, and what they have changed somewhat, is Nightmare Mode and all of the difficulties feeling fair. Right? People complain about the spawn rates, and they die, and they go, it's too hard. It's not about it being too hard. It's about it not feeling fair, that the second you finish killing a tall boy, a new one shows up because the mutation spawns so fast. Right? That's about it feeling fair, and not actually about it being hard. So so now we're moving into this, right? Bad release, etc. But over time they've made changes. A lot of those bugs that I've talked about have been fixed or have been dramatically improved. They nerfed Nightmare Mode. Nerfing a game, making a game easier, sort of naturally affects how fair it feels, because if a player just is now suddenly good enough to beat it, then fairness doesn't matter because they're skill enough to deliver on a victory, right? But I think fairness is still a thing that's really going on here because, you know, with the alarm door thing, people don't feel it's fair. Though I think it's actually more complex and interesting to play and things like that, and etc. So bug side, right? So bugs, you know, weird mechanic stuff and server-based things. They've worked on it. It's improved. It's better. But of course, there's still room for improvement. Still bugs that happen, but it's significantly better. Hitting that quick play button is no longer a game of roulette where sometimes you'd go into quick play and you would have nothing work and your character might as well be just a stick of health for a tall boy to slam, and sometimes it would work fine. Quick play works fine 90% of the time now. Every once in a while you get shorted a card or something like that. That's the most I've seen in quick play. Every once in a while you'll take over a bot that was once a player, and that player dropped all of his money, and then your teammates picked up that money, and now you have no money, and your teammates aren't going to give it back to you because it's quick play, right? Stuff like that. Little things like that. So for the most part, bug-wise, mechanic-wise, game's getting better. The AI, it's better. It could always be better. AI is a complicated thing, but it can always get better, things like that. I think the thing that Back for Blood is always going to really struggle with is the game feeling fair. Because it's RNG based. Everything's, you know, things spawn here and things spawn here, and how often they spawn is supposed to be semi-random, and when you start, you know, teammate accidentally shoots an alarm door and a horde shows up, and where that horde spawns is very, you know, relative to where everyone's standing. Back 4 Blood is an incredibly complex game with all these systems and all these mechanics working in the background. Getting an RNG experience like Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood to run smoothly is kind of hard. In fact, part of the replayability, part of the joy is that things happen differently every time. And so sometimes, you know, things just turn out, a horde is triggered, and a horde of zombies falls out of a building on top of your head. It doesn't feel fair. People get upset by that. It should never happen to me. It's not fair. It's not about difficulty, it's about fairness. And with a game that has so many mechanics, so many things going on in the background, so much RNG potential, I don't think this game is ever going to truly feel fair to anyone except for us elite gamers who take self-responsibility. I'm a big fan of taking responsibility first before I blame a game or a dev team. If you can't beat Nightmare Mode, you shouldn't be saying, oh, the devs suck, the devs don't actually play their game, Nightmare Mode's too hard. That implies that you played your match of Nightmare perfectly. That implies that you played it perfectly, you made no mistakes, and you shouldn't have lost. The only reason why you lost is because the dev team sucks. That's just not true. Take some responsibility. There's a pandemic in the gamer population of not taking responsibility, blaming your teammates first, or blaming the game first, when in reality, you can just be better. This is not a get good speech, this is just a matter of self-analyzing. If you're playing a video game and you can't beat it, you're probably doing something wrong and you should figure it out. And that journey can be rewarding in itself, but let's move on from that, right? So bugs and things like that, they were horrible at first, they're better now, and there's still more to improve. Difficulty, not really the conversation we need to have. Fairness, will this game ever truly feel fair? Probably not. Probably not to a lot of you. This game, I think, once you begin to understand all of its complex mechanics, begin to understand how the game works, you know where to stand, you know how to react in certain situations, you can start taking advantage, you can start taking control, playing better, and that fairness and that difficulty becomes less and less relative because you're able to overcome those challenges more consistently. The final thing that I want to talk about as far as as far as the review goes, this is the thing that kills me. Kills me. I cannot stand this about Turtle Rock Studios. Please give us accurate patch notes. Please. Please, please, please. Because If you're not going to release daily update videos or communicate with your audience and be active in their Discord and things like that, the primary way in which a dev team communicates with their audience, with their player base, is through their patch notes. The patch notes is your opportunity to say, we are listening, we hear you, we're making progress, here is the evidence of it. That's your opportunity to show that we can fix this, we can do this, we're creative, we're adding these things, we're finding solutions, and we're improving our game. That's the opportunity. That is the light that a dev team can hold out and say, look, hope. That's the patch notes. When you release patch notes that are incomplete, that have misspellings in them, when you release patch notes and you say you changed things, and then you go and play the game and they're not actually changed, it's a trust killer. Like it makes you look so unprofessional. At least to me, like I cannot stand it. Maybe that's because I'm trying to be a content creator for this game, and trying to like, hey guys, let's review the patch notes and give you accurate information. But the information I have, literally from the people who are making the game, is not accurate. It's kind of frustrating. And I'm sure it's frustrating for you guys as well, right? They made a huge change. Alarm doors used to be breakable by common zombies, by Ridden. That is no longer the case after the February updates. That change, not anywhere in the patch notes, not even close. They're not in there at all, and it's a huge major change to the fairness of Nightmare mode. And, well, all the modes, actually. Sleepers are spawning in new places that we've never seen them spawn before. It's not in the patch notes. February. And the February patch notes that was released, like on the official news feed on the Back for Blood website, does not include a section of bot changes, where bots are doing this and doing that. Most notably, in this section of bot notes that are not there, bots no longer shoot at snitches unless already in combat. So before, you can push bots sort of into the snitch. The bots will not trigger the snitch, and the bots would kill the snitch snitch would die, and it wouldn't call any zombies. Kind of a little exploit we got going on there. It's whatever. We took advantage of it. It's fine. Taking it away, whatever, right? I think it's fine. It's fine, right? Again, it affects that balance of fairness and balance and things like that. But if they took it away, no problem. But it's not mentioned in their patch notes on their newsfeed. Interestingly enough, if you read the February patch notes on Steam, on the Steam release of the patch notes, there's an entire section for bot changes that is listed there. That list is not in the original patch notes on their newsfeed. Those inconsistencies just drive me crazy, and I think sort of end up being a missed opportunity for becoming the hero for your community. Like that, patches are the dev team's opportunity to make things right, and at the very least give the community hope that, hey, you know what? They're making progress in the right direction. So I think Turtle Rock Studios really needs to improve on that. With that being said, I think this is a really fun game. I did this game like a 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10, because I have a 650 hours in it. As far as this is a cooperative zombie shooting killing game, for the most part that's true. Occasionally you'll get the random speedrunner who messes up with the image that the game sort of advertises. That happens from time to time. For the most part, though, make cool decks. You feel super powerful. There's some cool combinations where you can swap your guns really fast and constantly shoot bullets and hack down infinite hordes of zombies with your sword and get tons and tons of health, or be able to basically, you can like get 100% accuracy and like hip fire things super fast, and there's some really cool stuff that you can do in this game that's sort of fun, sort of game breaking. It has the power, the player has the power to do that, and it's really cool and fun and interesting. I would also say that this game has a great foundation for future content. No new mutations, new acts and campaigns, new cleaners, and new cards, as well as card balance and updates in the future. Tons of potential content. This game has a great foundation for the future, which is sort of why I'm making this video, because we have that DLC coming out on April 12th. I think that is going to be sort of like the omen, the good or bad omen. If they can really pull off this DLC and it functions really nicely when it comes out, it's polished, it functions well, there's not a whole bunch of game-breaking bugs in it, and it's fun, it's going to be a really, really good sign for the future. That sort of just shows, like, hey, like this is a decent game. It had a really rocky start, but it has all the bones to be something really cool in the future, and this DLC is going to show us whether or not I think Turtle Rock Studios has the potential to do that. So, if you already own the game, should you get back into it? Right now, I think is a decent enough time, but if you hated the mutation spawn rate, and if you can't, you hate it when you have to trigger an alarm door, you'll probably be upset. If you're somebody who just complained endlessly that Nightmare mode, even after the December update, was too hard, you're gonna wait. You should just probably wait. If you don't own this game yet, should you buy it? Do some research. Use your power of reason. I think I laid it out pretty clearly. Lots of bugs, lots of game impactful glitches and things like that that we're frustrated to deal with. Over time, they've gotten better. There's still some fairness issues. There's still some other minor bugs that happen here and there. So I would say, for the most part, right, don't be blinded by the emotional testimony. Watch some negative reviews. Watch some positive reviews. Watch a streamer play here or there. You can watch me on occasion when I play. Watch my videos. You know what I mean? Right? Ask questions. Right? Go to Twitch. Find someone playing the game. Ask them questions. See what they say. Go to someone else. Ask them questions. Right? You have the ability to do as much research as you want. If you, right, and then you can make your decision. Right? That would be my recommendation. I think I think for the most part, games do tend to get better over time, for the most part, through patches and things like that, at least in the first couple of years. And I think this game is a great foundation for future content. So if you're on the fence and you're not so sure about it, wait until the DLC comes out and see if it starts a dumpster fire or if it opens up the heavens. I don't know. That's why I don't know why that was my two comparisons. But if you're on the fence, wait for the DLC on April 12th. See how it goes. Watch the stream. See how everyone's talking about it. See what their reaction is. Again, don't be swayed by the emotional testimony. But I think April 12th will be a sort of critical moment for the game. Just because too, people like to talk about the player population dropping. That happens in every game. Sometimes dramatically, sometimes not as dramatically. That happens in every game. I think for the most part, when it comes to this game, people came in, they played their 6 or 7 or 8 hours worth of content in veteran mode. Sometimes some less, right? Some people just are not into just playing a game over and over and over again. Some people played until they unlocked all the cards and then they moved on, right? But people played this game, they had a fine time with it, and then they just moved on. And now they're happily awaiting the DLC. When the DLC comes out, they'll come back, they'll play the DLC, they'll unlock the new stuff, they'll go, wow, great, that was fun, and then they'll move on and go play something else, because not everyone is going to be a hardcore Back for Blood, rinse and repeat gamer. Like this style of game just doesn't appeal to everyone. But people still bought it and played it because they thought, a little story, little fun game. This game was cool. Let me go buy Left 4 Dead. Try that out. Oh, cool. Let me go buy Left 4 Dead 2. Buy that. Cool. Right. So I would say don't worry too much about the player population. It's going to go up and down with DLC release, and that's just how most games go, anyways. Things like that. Hope this helps. Appreciate you guys listening and watching, and I'll see you guys in the future.